I was like, all right, I either lock in now or this is just going to be another unfortunate situation for me.
Imagine working your way through college, but at the same time pulling in 22,000 in just 22 days. Well, that's exactly what happened to one of our students after joining the spring mentorship program and learning how to create a dropshipping store that made his money work for him.
So you did like basically $22,000 in 22 days.
Yeah,
That's
around there.
crazy.
So today, our CEO, AC Hampton, is breaking down exactly what happened and the moves that made it possible to pull off this level of success so quickly. If you want to be our next success story, click the link in the description to see how we can help you, just like we did with this young entrepreneur. And while you're there, go ahead and drop a like on this video. Without further ado, let's bring in AC and the man in the hour.
What's going on, everybody? Got one of my star students in here, Alex. He's been killing the game. He's been scaling up, taking 2024 by the hand and going straight into really creating some insane results. Alex, welcome in here, man. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Of course, man. You want to give everybody a quick understanding of how old you are, where you're from, a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So I'm 18 years old. My name's Alex, and I go to USF. So I live in Tampa by myself, and I just started drop shipping a few years back, failed, and came back to it in around August, and then November joined the mentorship, and ever since then it's just been to the moon.
It's been to the moon, man. So what were you looking to change in your life by starting drop shipping or just even learning how to make money online?
I think one of the biggest things that I was worried about, even though I'm young and it maybe not necessarily something that I should be as worried about as I am. I always just was concerned with like my financials in the future, especially going to college, that being a lot of money, and especially considering that I didn't have a lot of money at the time, just being 17 years old. And, I kind of wanted to not have to worry about little things like, how am I going to pay to go out to eat and eventually, like, I want to get to the point where I can provide for those who've supported me, be able to have money to, treat my parents nice, treat my family nice, give back to those who supported me. And so I figured, drop shipping was the best way to do it because it just drew me in right from the start. And it's just something I love doing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, right after high school, life gets a little bit expensive. Going out to eat, paying bills, all kinds of happens at once. So one of your main reasons was being able to try to cover those things.
Exactly. Just not have to worry about it so much. That way I can focus on school as well as focus on the business more and just having that financial cushion.
I understand, man. I definitely understand. So you mentioned kind of like when you started. So when did you start the mentorship? And then also, how did you know it was the right fit for you? How did you know things were starting to go the right way?
So I joined the mentorship around November 20th. And so I knew the mentorship was going to work for me, honestly, before I even joined. It was just a matter of when I was going to join and, what I was going to do with the knowledge that it provides. But, I spent a lot of months testing products and failing, losing a lot of money to the point where I was like, you know what, like I'm losing so much money already. I'm just going to invest in myself and see where it takes me. And here we are.
Hey, man, I love that. I love that. How did you feel like it was? When did you see when you were in the mentorship? Like when the first couple weeks started going by, how did you know things were starting to, really start lining themselves up and you were proactively going in the right direction?
I think I first realized, honestly, sales wise, around a month in, when I started realizing how much information, from the blueprint to the calls, like all the information, like before I joined the mentorship, I thought I had a good understanding of drop shipping. And the moment I opened the blueprint, I was just like, wow, I'm far behind. I have a lot to learn. And so being able to see that, I kind of knew right off the bat, I was like, okay, there's going to be a lot of success to come out of this because there's so much knowledge. And then started testing products and eventually just found the winner. And ever since then, I have not looked back.
I love that, man. But I mean, you found a winner. You were able to get great success. We're going to talk about that in a second. But what was one of those biggest hurdles that you had when you did first get started? Like, how did you overcome it? What tools did we provide? How were you able to come over this one of these biggest hurdles that you had to go through?
My biggest hurdles was honestly about 2 or 3 weeks in. At this point, I'd already tested. I've already had 2 or 3 calls, and I tested a couple products. But at this point, I was still losing money, and I got to the point where I didn't know like if I had enough money to continue testing products. Like I was just honestly scrounging up whatever I had, and I was like, man, like I have probably 2 to 3 products left worth of money to test, and after that, I don't know where my financials stand after that. And so I had to figure it out. There was no plan B at that point, and that was definitely the biggest hurdle. But the things that helped me a lot was especially the mentor calls, with just having somebody there. I think the biggest thing was accountability and also having somebody to, tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, because I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I lost so much money is because I was doing something wrong, or an ad would fail or something, and I didn't have anybody to say, hey, don't do that. It's not set up properly. And so I think that's the biggest thing, as well as the blueprint. I mean, the amount of information that has is just, it's unreal. So it's
That's
definitely a
awesome,
blessing.
man. And a lot of people, I mean, 99% of the reason why people don't succeed is because they don't keep trying to overcome the failures or overcome the things that were happening. And like you said, you were coming down to some of the last amount of, dollars that you had. What moment were you sitting there thinking like, okay, how were you in that moment thinking like, I have to make this work? Where was your mind at during that time?
My mind was all over the place at this point. When I was struggling, I was actually getting ready to move out. So that on top of just not even having money, it was just a lot to handle. It was just at that point, I kind of just realized, like I I have an opportunity in my hands, and obviously, thankfully, my parents like financially supported me to an extent. And then once I had that cushion, I just kind of realized, I need to start testing products. I need to start taking it more seriously, because I was taking the mentorship seriously, but I was almost straying away my focus. And then kind of when it started coming down to the wire, I was like, all right, I either lock in now, or this is just going to be another unfortunate situation for me.
I love that, man. And you've had a great experience. Like I said, you kept pushing through that and you were able to kind of open the doors and see the light of everything. And I'm really excited to share that. So based off of these experiences, like, the ups, the downs, where you're currently at, what honest advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start drop shipping?
The biggest advice I would give to somebody is just the number one thing is to be consistent. There's a lot of ups and downs, like way more than you think. And, it's very hard after like a couple failures, failed products, whatever it may be, to keep going. But I think the biggest thing is finding somebody who knows the business and knows how to do what you're trying to do. That way you have somebody with some sort of guidance. That way you're not just aimlessly, just losing money and having no sort of, pathway, nobody to like, put under their wing. And I think the biggest thing is to have somebody with you, to guide you in the right direction, as well as just staying consistent and trusting the process. I think the number one thing is just trust the process. You will succeed. It's just a matter of when.
I agree with that. Trust the process and believe in yourself. I mean, it all comes down to belief, not giving up on your goals, not giving up on your dreams, and setting stone. Like this is what I'm gonna do, no matter what it's gonna take. So I 100% agree with you. So, like you said, you had hurdles when you first started off. So, what milestones did you hit where you were like, "Wow, okay, this is actually starting to work in the right way"? What was that day like? When did you start realizing things were starting to really pick up, and what milestone was that?
I think my first big milestone for me was getting more than one order in a day. I think the first time I had three figures, which like looking back, it's not that much, but at the time, I got three orders in a day, and I think that was the first time where I was like, wow, like this can work, like I just got to keep going, and I got to keep going in the right direction. And just seeing that first big milestone of like, hey, I didn't just get like one order or two orders this week, like I got a few today, and then ever since then, it's just gone up.
Continue to keep going up. And I mean, I know your journey is going to inspire a lot of people to get started, but also keep pushing towards their dreams. So let's go ahead and bring all the journey together. I'm gonna let you share your screen. Let's check out what the progressions look like since you first started. All right, so here's the first screen. Run me through what is happening here. Is this right before you started the mentorship?
So this is around before I started the mentorship. This is the first month I had my store open. So this was also the first month, and I didn't join the mentorship till around November 20th. So this is the first month opening. Obviously, one sale, maybe two sales, and nothing, no traction at all.
So what do you
So
believe was like going wrong here? What do you think was like one of the main reasons you weren't seeing any success at this time?
I think part of the reason why I wasn't being successful is partially laziness, but also just like not, being too focused. I figured like at this point in the first month, I was put products on the page. I built out the product descriptions and everything, but I just figured, oh, I'm gonna put an ad into a campaign, run the ad, and the money's just magically gonna show up in my bank account. And that was not the case. It is not as simple as just turning an ad set on and hoping that the sales come in. And so I think that's kind of where it was at for the first few months, honestly.
You have to run it like a business for it to operate and make money like a business. That was kind of one of those waking moments. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I went through the exact same thing when I first started. Like I thought it, because what you see on social media, what you see online, you see these people just magically making money overnight. So it probably was a little hard to realize it wasn't as easy as you thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, definitely was a wake up call when I realized, it's it's not magic. You have to put
Yeah.
work in, but then eventually, you get rewarded with the benefits.
Okay, so this is right before the mentorship. You got about one sale in you. Let's go ahead and see what that next progression looked like.
So my next progression was the first 3 months. So this was the first 3 months, sales existed, for the first, this was again the first 3 months. So I hit around just over $700 in sales. Obviously, at this point, that is not profit. It was just, like testing products and getting like one or two sales, but product failed. So I cut the ad off. But after the first 3 months, obviously $700 is a lot more motivating than
It is.
65.
And you're by
So
yourself at this moment still, right?
yes, at this point, I'm still completely on my own.
Okay, so you were testing different products here. You were actually starting to get a little bit more sales. What was the difference between, July and June, like you showed, versus this time?
I think the difference this time was doing a little bit more detailed product research instead of just seeing something that I was like, oh, that's cool. Or TikTok, it's blown up at TikTok. Like, why can't I sell it? I think this time I started to watch the free YouTube videos that you posted about like product research and Google Trends and stuff. So this is kind of when I started to like actually take product research a little bit more seriously. But at this point I was taking product research seriously, but I wasn't taking my ads as seriously. So I had a little bit of improvement, but not as much improvement as you'd like.
Okay, okay, which is like the other huge part of making any success with
Exactly.
drop shipping. Yeah. Awesome. So, right at this moment, you're by yourself. And then let's go ahead and see what, that next month looked like after working together. All right. So now you've now joined the mentorship. This is like your first day starting around November 20th. What was going on in these first 30 days? And give us a rundown of kind of what was happening.
Yeah, so the first 30 days obviously wasn't successful as my last 30 days. But, I think a lot of the first 30 days I was really watching a lot of the blueprint and honestly using the knowledge that I was getting and just kind of studying and learning. I was testing a few products within the first 30 days, but I think a lot of it was really soaking in the information that the blueprint gave me so that when I did start testing products, I kind of knew where to go instead of going aimlessly. So around this first month, I think I might have tested one or two products. They didn't do too hot, but um, my first month priority was really just learning. And then I knew that I was going to take what I learned in the first month and apply it into the second month.
Okay. So let's talk about that second month. Let's see what was going on after that.
Okay, so the second month was this. So this is the last 3 weeks roughly.
Sheesh.
Around $22,000 in sales, and everything just started just hitting out of absolutely nowhere.
So what was the biggest difference, right? You were failing for the first 4 months alone. You joined the mentorship. You spent 30 days focusing on knowledge. And then in 3 weeks, you ended up going up to $22,000. So what was happening during this time frame?
So during this time frame, I took advantage of the product research tools a lot more seriously. This was around December 29th. So, I figured, oh, well, there's a couple holidays coming up and I might as well jump on the opportunity as soon as possible before anybody else does. And so that's when I started, building a product calendar, I guess, and this was obviously the first product of the product calendar. And, I figured out like how to do proper interest testing and just a lot of just detailed work when it comes to my advertising. And eventually got to the point where, I just took the knowledge I got from all of the blueprint and every call I had, and I used the first month for research, and I took that research and I just applied it to the second month, and definitely did a lot better than the first month.
So you did like basically $22,000 in 22 days.
Yeah,
That's
around there.
crazy. So what's that feeling like now? Like you've seen this, you know it's possible. What is the feeling that you now have like when you're opening up your laptop and seeing this every day?
Definitely liberating. It just feels like a sigh of relief, that all the work I've been putting in for the last, I mean, technically started around 2021 after all the research, it's so nice to be able to see consistency, consistent sales. And I mean, it's one of the better feelings,
I love
being able
that,
to,
man.
yeah, be this successful, especially where I'm at now in life.
So then so you have like now you're still getting sales today, right? So like show us kind of what's going on now.
So this is my sales I'll show you guys the sales for today. So today we're looking at around 1,600 today in sales. And this is actually one of my bigger days so far. My biggest day so far was 2,200 in one day, which was definitely mind-boggling. But it looks like today might be another pretty good day. Conversion rate's been improving every day, just another day, getting a little better.
I love that. It's like 5:27 p.m. too. So it's like you still got about, 8 hours left of the day to really go crazy.
Exactly, exactly.
That's awesome, man. Well, we all know men lie, women lie, numbers don't. We can all show revenue. You've been able to generate $22,000 in the last 22 days. What's that profit looking like in overall?
Profit overall. So these are my cost of goods, ad spend. So roughly around a little over $5,000 in profit, excluding today. Um, my profit margin's around 26%, which is definitely better considering that my profit margin around 2 weeks ago was around 20%. So it's going up. So, we're looking at a few grand a month for sure.
Man, that is actually amazing. Like, it's not even about revenue, and that's why I loved that you get to showcase this because this is pure money into your pocket. Like, this is pure money getting you into the goals and the situation that you want to be in. How does it feel like now that you are actually taking the steps towards what you want to achieve?
It feels great, I mean, I have the proper guidance, which is exactly what I was looking for. Being able to see this type of numbers, I've never seen my bank account I've never seen it look like this before. So it's definitely just a great feeling, being able to reassured that, with the knowledge I've gained that I have the tools I need for financial success in the future, whether this product I'm working on fails eventually, I have the same knowledge, same tools, and just apply it to the next best product and the next best advertisement, just so that I can just keep consistently making these sales and can just consistently keep these numbers up.
I love that, man. I love that. A lot more to come your way. We're just at the beginning of 2024. You're still within your first 30 days, really pushing a product. So you have a lot of greatness coming your way. I'm gonna go ahead and let you stop sharing your screen. I got a couple more questions for you. All right, man. So $22,000 in 22 days from zero. What is 2024 looking like for you? What are the next things you're trying to achieve?
So I think one of my biggest goals of 2024, I think, one of my bigger goals that I'm not too far off of, but I do have a long way to go, is I would like to have my first six-figure month, which would definitely be a crazy, crazy thing to look at on your computer. But that's definitely one of the bigger goals. And then I'm obviously eventually, want to be able to build enough credibility and have a great enough store to where hopefully in the future I can open another store or continue running multiple products at a time and just expanding, scaling, and just maximizing whatever I can, because there's so much money out there.
Man, it really is. That Wi-Fi bread goes crazy. But I want you to realize I'm asking you this because I'm gonna hold you accountable. So basically, what's gonna happen is you and I are gonna do a testimonial again in like 2, 3, 4 months. I'm gonna come back because I already know you're gonna hit six figures. It happens every time when I say, and everyone watching this, I'm gonna say, I told you so. We're gonna come back in like April, March, around that time. You're gonna end up hitting your first 100,000, and I'm excited to go ahead and hold you accountable, and for you to be like, man, this happened a lot quicker than I actually expected, man. So I'm really excited for you. So, now that you are starting to make money online, like what has changed for you, mentally or financially? Like, what are some of the biggest things that have changed for you?
I think mentally, one of the biggest things that's changed for me is just like I have a lot more. I mean, yeah, I would say financial freedom in terms of, I don't have to, when I go to Chipotle and get a bowl, I don't have to worry about like adding chips in a drink on top, or it's just the little things like that, when you do that every day, it's just the little details, the little changes in your life that just make you feel a lot better, being able to, like, for holidays like Valentine's Day, people's birthdays, I feel like it's a lot more fulfilling, being able to, spend a little bit more money on gifts for people that I care about. And I think that's just one of the greatest feelings. It's just, it's almost like a sigh of relief, just you're heading in the right direction. You just got to keep it up.
100%, man. 100%. I mean, you're 18 years old. You just did close to $6,000 profit in less than a couple weeks. The sky is the limit for you. And I just really hope you understand that with the foundation you've created, with the foundation that we've provided, I mean, you can really do anything that you put in your mind to in this world. So, like I said, in these next couple months, you and I are going to get back together. And I know, you're going to be at a whole different level. So excited to go ahead and see that. So like for people who've been in the same position as you, or people who've been, just wanting to get started, what do you think this mentorship would do for them, and how do you believe it could help others?
Honestly, and this is just completely honest, there's the mentorship is everything. The mentorship gives you every tool, every necessity, every bit of knowledge that you need for the drop shipping world. I mean, it just provided me with the do's and don'ts and the whys and why nots, and it allows you not only to learn the knowledge that it takes to build a store, but honestly how to understand your customer, understand how a product is going to sell. And just honestly, the mentorship just provided absolutely everything. You know, obviously, clearly looking at the results before the mentorship, I was not going in the right direction. And, you know, just being able to join the mentorship and just kind of put me back on course, that was the best feeling. And I think the mentorship, honestly, I recommend it to anybody. Even to my friends and my family, I'm like, hey, like, if you ever need some sort of like you don't know what to do financials, join the mentorship. I promise you, you'll get all the knowledge you need, and you'll be able to run your own business. And even if you think you can, you can't, you can. And it's awesome.
Hey man, I appreciate that. That's love. And I'm really happy that you're able to see that, believe it, and even achieve it for yourself. And like I said, this is only the beginning. So I want to say I appreciate you being in here. I know you're motivating a lot of people who have watched. Everybody in here who is watching, if you guys want to leave a comment in the comment section showing some love to Alex, it would be greatly appreciated. I hope you have a great day, my boy, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
So that's Alex's story, from never having a winning store to pulling in over 22,000 in just 22 days with the help from our team. If his journey lit a fire under you and you're ready to see what the Supreme Ecom mentorship can do for you, hit that link in the description and let's build your next success story. And if you want to hang out and see more wins like Alex, hop into our Discord, link in the pinned comment. All right. Like always, this is Julian from Supreme Ecom, and I'll see you later.
I think the number one thing is just trust the process. You will succeed. It's just a matter of when.